Hi everyone, and welcome to the latest build here from Brenco guitars. We're going to start off this build by dimensioning our lumber. So we're taking this piece of ash and we're passing it over our jointer to get the bottom nice and flat, to give us a flat surface to work with. We then take this piece and we put it on its side and we start to joint the edge, so that will give us a nice flat surface to glue the two pieces together to make up the body blank. And we can then take those pieces and pass them through our thicknesser to get them to the exact dimensions that we'd like. Hi Barry. So we just pass them through a few times, making some small adjustments until they're at the exact specifications that we would like. And with the material dimensioned exactly how we'd like, and this is the edge that we jointed earlier to make nice and flat, so we're just attaching our glue here. It's just some tight bond, and with the glue on we can then get ready to put them together. And so we just drop the pieces into our clamps here and we just press them in place and move them a little side to side to allow the glue to start to grab, and once it does and we can feel it start, we can then start to tighten up our clamps. And so there's the body blank, glued up in clamps, and we're going to leave that overnight and we'll come back to it and begin our next step. So it's the next day and we're taking our template here, which is in the style of a T-type guitar, and we're just drawing around it onto the body blank, and this will show us exactly how much material we can begin to remove to start to refine the shape. So we just take it over to our bandsaw now and we just start to cut away material all over the body, and we cut it as close as we can to the line, leaving roughly about a millimeter or so all around. And we just keep doing that, removing material to get closer and closer to the line, just refining the shape more and more, taking off small pieces so we can get it, as we said, as close to the line, just to make the next job, which will be routing out the body shape, a little bit easier. And when we come off the bandsaw, this is our roughed out shape, ready for routing now. So we attach our template again and we start to route around the body to get it to the exact dimensions, with the router bit following the contour of the template around to give us the final shape we'd like. And we can then take off that template and just follow the router around the body and just get it completely to the final shape we'd like. And we then end up with our final T-style body completely routed around and ready to move on to our next process. And so our next step is we're going to take this very large coving bit and we're going to cut a cove all around the top edge of the body. So you can just see now that curve begins to form all around the top there. And we had some minor router issues here, and unfortunately we had to discard this body. So off camera we went and we glued up and made another body and got us back to the same stage we're at now. So when we come back in now, it'll be a different body we're using. But you can see we've ran that coving bit all the way around the edge of this new body. You can see it going all the way around with a nice smooth internal curve there. And also off camera we routed out our neck pocket and drilled our holes for our neck bolts. And off camera we also drilled our 4 holes for our neck ferrules or bushings, a system I much prefer than using neck plates. And so we've now marked out the location of our pickups and where our bridge needs to go. You can see all our pencil marks there, and so we're just using our drill press now to drill out our bridge mounting holes. And next we're taking our very large Forstner bit and we're starting to hog away a lot of material from inside the pickup pockets. And so this just makes the job for the router much easier, that it doesn't have to try and hog away that material, as the drill press is much more suited to it. And so this is very messy and creates a lot of chips, as you can see. And then we attach our template on and we use our router then to get us to the exact shape that we require. And so the router bit will follow the exact contour of the template and give us the exact shape and size that we require. And you can see now with the template off, we've got a nice clean cavity there to the exact depth and size that we'd like. And we can now attach the template to the other pickup pocket and cut away the material to make them both exactly the same. And so we've got our cavities now ready to accept pickups. And then flipping the instrument over, we can start to work on our control cavity. So we're going to hog away a lot of material here to make space for all our electronics and controls to go in. And you can see this is extremely messy. That's after just one hole being drilled, and I think we had about a dozen or so to do. So we just keep working away and drilling more and more holes to completely empty out that cavity, so we have all the space, as we said, for our electronics to go in there. And with all that material now hogged away and taken out, we can attach the first piece of our template for our back cavity here. And so this will help remove more material and get us down to the exact size and dimension that we want for the cavity. And this will give us a nice big space where we can put in our volume, tone control and our pickup selector. And the router again will just use its bearing to follow the template all the way around to take us down to the exact dimension that we want. And with the first template taken off, you can see that's what space we're going to have for our control cavity, so plenty of room to do what we need to do. And so the next step will be, we'll attach the second part of the template, and we can now use this template to route out a small recess, probably just a few millimeters or so, and that's going to leave us a little shelf that we can attach our back control plate onto, which will cover up the cavity. And so again, the router will just follow the contours of this cavity. You can just about see it working away inside there. And as I said, it's a very small amount of material being removed, just to leave us that little shelf that we can allow our control plate to lie on. And so you can see with the template off now, we just have that small little recess that will allow us to put the plate in. And we had some drilling issues earlier, so you've had to plug up a small hole there, but that won't be seen, so it's no issue at all. So we've got a nice clean cavity there that we can put our electronics into. And we can now lay out exactly where we'd like our controls to go. We've got a volume, a tone and a 3-way toggle switch, and we can also see exactly where we'd like to place our output jack. And with those all in place, we can mark out their positions on the top of the body, and we can just start to drill through into the control cavity at the back there to allow access. And we're just drilling nice and slow here, so we don't cause any chip out or any damage to the top of the body as we're drilling through. And so with all our holes drilled, we can then install our electronics to see exactly how they're going to look in place and make sure that everything is where we'd like it to be. And then we can drill from one of our pickup pockets into the control cavity, and that will allow our pickup wires to run into the control cavity. And we can drill another hole here underneath the bridge at an angle, which will allow our bridge wire to run from under the bridge and into the control cavity. And we can now move on to prepping our body for finish. So what we're doing here is taking some grain filler, and we're just rubbing that all over the body, and that will fill in all the little gaps in between the grain and fill in all the pores as well. And so when that hardens, we can sand it off, and it will leave us with a very smooth finish that will make it a lot easier to apply our stain and oil to. And so we've spent hours and hours sanding after this to get the body up to a nice smooth finish, and we're just rubbing on some white spirit now, and so that will pull out any dust or anything like that that's trapped inside the pores of the body. And again, we can come back and sand again and repeat this process to make sure that we're left with a perfectly smooth top. And we flip the body over and we do exactly the same thing here. And so this white spirit, as we said, will pull out all the dust. It will also show up any small scratches or anything like that that's in the wood, so we can come back again and make sure we're perfectly smooth. So we're just getting ready to begin our staining here, and you can just see in the background we've got a bottle of Crimson Guitar's Stunning Stains, which we really enjoy using. So we're just diluting it down ever so slightly in a cup here and getting ready to start applying it. So we're just brushing it on nice and heavily to get a good concentration of colour. So we're just going with the grain and across the grain to get a nice penetration on the colour. And we're just going to do that for the entire top, but not the back and sides. So here's the top now after a couple of coats of stain. We've got some drips on the side that we'll come back and scrape and sand off to give us a nice crisp edge. And after we've allowed that to dry for a while. We're going to come back now and we're going to apply our oil to the top. So we're just using some Crimson guitar finishing oil here. So we're just giving it a quick shake and we're going to apply some very liberally to the top here. So this will help protect the stain, seal it in, seal and protect the wood, and will also give us a very nice satin kind of sheen to the top. So we're just rubbing this in, and we'll keep going and just putting a lot more oil on, and we'll do several coats over several hours. So here's how the top looks now after its first coat of oil, and so we're just going to continue adding more oil, and we'll start to also begin to do the sides as well, and then we'll flip the instrument over and we're going to start working on the back now as well. So very similar to the front, we're just adding a large amount of oil to begin with to let it soak in, let the wood really drink it up, and just keep rubbing it in and applying several coats until we build up a nice luster and a nice sheen all over the body. We're just using a foam brush here to help spread the oil over. We'll come back with some tissues and rub it in to make sure it really penetrates nice and deeply and builds up that sheen we want. So here's the instrument now. After it's been fully oiled, we've got that nice sheen that we were talking about, and we're getting ready to install our hardware now. So it's all gold hardware. You can see we've got our gold pickups, a gold bridge, our gold control knobs, and our gold output jack. And you can just see our control plate there for the back as well. We've also stained and oiled, and we've got our gold machine heads and our gold neck bolts, and we're going to begin the process of installing all our hardware now. And the first thing we'll do is we're going to install our ground wire here for the bridge. So you can just push that down, and then that'll be held in place by the bridge and will provide our ground connection to the strings. And next we can begin installing our pickups. So you can see we've drilled some holes here directly through the neck pocket to allow us to feed the wires off the pickups all the way through, so we can get it from one cavity into the next, and we can then feed the wire through the second pickup pocket and directly into our control cavity. We can just feed the wire straight through there, and then we can screw the pickups down into place using some very nice gold screws, and then we can get ready to move on to begin wiring up all our electronics. So we're trying to do as much wiring as we can outside of the body. So we're just soldering our first wires in place. We're using a cardboard template here, which will give us the same spacing that we need that the body has. And so at this point we've done all the external wiring that we can. We've got our output jack wires here ready to go as well. So we're just going to begin installing the electronics into the body. And with them in place, we've now also soldered in our ground wire. We've got our output jack wires ready, as well as our pickup wires, so we'll just finish off the soldering on that, and then we can just test our pickups. So we're just using a little desktop amp here and just going through all our volume control and our pickup selector to ensure that we're actually hearing a signal through it. And that's all our hardware and electronics installed. As I said, all gold, and our gold output jack, and it's all looking very well. And then we just need to seal up that cavity. So we're going to flip the body over and we'll put our rear access control plate in place and screw it in with some gold screws, and we can move on to the neck now. And we can begin on the neck by installing our tuners. So as we said, gold tuners, and we're just drilling some very small holes here for our mounting screws. These take a very small screw, and we can take one of those small screws and we just dip it in some grease before we begin to install them. As you said, these are very small screws and we don't want them breaking or anything in place, because they would be an absolute nightmare to get out such very small screws like these. And then we're also going to install our strap button, again gold strap button and a gold screw to hold it in place, and then we can get ready to begin installing the neck. So we just flip the body over here and we just give it some support as well so that it's not lying on any of the controls we've just installed, and then we can begin inserting our neck ferrules or bushings and putting those in place, and then putting in our 4 neck bolts to get ready to connect it to the neck itself. And with those bolts in place, we can then hold the body up, put the neck into its place, and we can begin to start to screw in these bolts, taking it nice and easy, as we don't want any slips, or we don't want the screwdrivers to start making any marks on the back of the body. And with those in place, we think it's a very elegant look, much nicer than a large neck plate. And so off camera, what we're going to do now is we're going to string up the instrument and then get ready to flip her over for a final reveal. So here is the finished instrument, as she's been christened Purple Rain. We've got our gold output jack and all our gold hardware, gold pickups with our purple top and our coving all around the body. And we've got our headstock decal that we applied off camera. And this is the finished instrument, and we're very happy with the final look. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, leave a comment, share this video if you'd like, and we'll see you back with our next video very soon.